Fireworks, or Kembang API, is an Indonesian drama film based on an earlier Japanese film named 3 Feet Ball and Souls. The premise of this film is that 4 unknown strangers, who had only spoken to each other on an online chat group before, meet to commit suicide together with the help of a unique ball of fireworks. Although not very moving or effective, Fireworks is just a feel-good film that can be watched for some light entertainment. Fireworks plot summary. Fireworks begins with a man hauling a trolley inside a small room that looks mostly like a work shed. On top of this trolley is a gigantic ball, which he unties and then tries to switch on the lights in the room. The switches do not work, and the man has to turn the small light bulb to get it on, and while doing so, he takes a look at a photograph he is carrying. Within a few minutes, another man, much younger than the first, walks in and confirms whether he is at the right place. The two are part of an online group named Fireworks, and they have all been using pseudonyms so far. The new man is called Black Orchid, while the earlier one refers to himself as Cloudy Sky. Soon, a third member joins in, this time a woman who refers to herself as White Skull. As the three sit themselves, the purpose of their meeting becomes clear, for they have gathered to commit suicide together. The online chat group that had been created was for the sole purpose of discussing such an act, and the three had settled on a time and place to execute their plan, with a fourth member coming as well. The giant ball that sits at the center of the room has been filled with numerous fireworks, and when detonated, the explosion would be enough to blow the entire room apart, along with the 4 members. Exactly 15 minutes after the supposed meeting time, the fourth member walks in, a young schoolgirl named Onggun. The others are a bit shocked to see such a young girl wanting to kill herself and casually state how she must have so much hope and possibilities left in life, but Onggun is not one to change her mind. After some deliberation, the first man, Cloudy Sky, decides to bring out the detonator and finally presses the switch to make the bomb explode. Numerous fireworks swarm the skies, and the explosion is surely devastating enough to blow up the work shed along with the 4 members. However, Cloudy Sky suddenly finds himself in the same situation, turning the bulb on to have light inside the work shed, and then the 3 members gradually walk in, just like earlier. Who were the 4 characters? Why were they trying to commit suicide? In their attempt to reach out to Onggun and convince her not to commit suicide, the 3 other members share their own real identities and talk about the reasons behind their decisions. Although discussing such personal matters had initially been decided to be against the group's rules, the characters ultimately end up changing this rule in order to save Onggun and also to continue their effort to kill themselves. Cloudy Sky, the founder of the group, is actually named Fahmi, and he had worked for many years as a pyrotechnician at a fireworks factory. One evening, during an important fireworks show attended by politicians and business delegates, Fahmi could not launch the fireworks properly. There was some problem with the codes, and the show could not be remotely started as per usual. Manually lighting such extensive fireworks was also not an option. And ultimately Fahmi and his team had to concede that there would be no fireworks show that evening. Such a mishap caused the company massive financial loss, and the man was given the responsibility of paying for this entire loss. Not only did Fahmi lose the job, but he was also fined an enormous sum of 1.3 billion rupiahs. Unable to come up with such a hefty amount of money through any job, Fahmi started borrowing from money lenders and also had a large debt to repay. His teenage daughter was very interested and determined to become a doctor, so he needed to keep money aside for her education as well. Burdened by all these thoughts, the man decided to kill himself so that his family would receive insurance money. His plan to die with the help of a giant ball of fireworks was so that his family could claim that he had died while working, and they would also receive monetary compensation for his death. It was Fahmy who had created the online group in order to get more people to commit suicide with him so that the scene would look like an accident and not a deliberate plan. Incidentally, it is revealed at the very end that Fahmy had chosen the time for the plan to be the night before his birthday. Black Orchid was a doctor by profession, a gynecologist, to be specific, and his real name was Raga. Having been an academically bright student his entire life, Raga had grown up to become quite a reputed doctor, and he practiced at one of the leading hospitals in his city. But the fear of failure was always something that disturbed Raga, and it took a nasty shape when a patient of his died on the operation table, along with her unborn child. The doctor was shaken to his core, and the fear of failure, which immediately resulted in the death of innocent life in his profession, led to Raga's mental peace being totally destroyed. This, in turn, resulted in a decline in his professional efficiency. And soon the matter became such that Raga would physically fall sick every time he would be contacted by the hospital. Unable to live on with this constant fear of failing, Raga decided to end his life and joined the group to do so. White Skull was a woman named Sukma who was enjoying a loving life with her husband and young son. The young boy, Darwin, was very enthusiastic about spending more time with his father and accompanying him on a trip to Japan. And he was excitedly telling all this to his mother one fateful morning. While Sukma was driving the car, Darwin was showing her a tall structure he had built with building block toys, and to him, this was a representation of the Monas Tower in Jakarta. During this time, Sukma failed to notice a vehicle rushing towards them, and they met with a horrific accident. While she got away with negligible injuries, Sukma lost her son forever, and out of the pain and guilt of this incident, she became a completely changed woman. Never leaving her house or sitting in cars anymore, Sukma ultimately came to the conclusion that ending her life was the only way to find respite. Lastly, the young Ongun reveals that she had not been using any pseudonym like the others, and that her real name was indeed Ongun. The girl reveals that the main reason for her wanting to kill herself was a group of girls at her school who used to incessantly bully her. After beating her up and taking money from her, the bullies moved to harsher ways and edited Ongun's face in objectionable photos. Threatening to release these photos, they were extorting the girl for more money, and Ongun had to resort to stealing money from her mother. With the fear of whatever the bullies might do next and the guilt of hiding the matter from her parents and stealing money from them instead, Ongun decided to join the online group and commit suicide. She was also convinced that her death would teach her bullies a lesson, and the young girl was more motivated by such an innocent thought as well. Fireworks ending explained what ultimately happens to the four characters. The three elder members tried to convince Ongun about how her bullies would not care much about her death, and instead, it would be her parents, especially her mother, who would be devastated her whole life. While doing so, Fahmy, Raga, and Sukma also came to the conclusion that their families would also be heartbroken for the rest of their lives and that nothing could compensate for their respective losses. Each finds a solution for the other's problems, and they all see the good in each other. Gradually convincing themselves to still have some hope for life and also interpreting the repeated iterations as multiple second chances that life was throwing at them, the three cancelled their plan. They come to the conclusion that the words written on the body of the bomb, Europe Iku Europe, meaning to live is to light up, must be the reason that they cannot die, for such a hopeful and positive message does not go with death. At the end of fireworks, when the three inform Ongun of their decision and also let the young girl make her own decision, Ongun also decides to cancel her plan. Together, the four members leave the room, and after moving to a safe distance, they detonate the bomb to witness a spectacular fireworks show in the sky. Fireworks also provides information about what the four do after this strange incident. Putting faith in his skill of being able to craft such spectacular fireworks, Fahmy found jobs at other places to then finally start his own fireworks factory, which he named Europe Europe. Fami's daughter also successfully completed her education and became a practicing doctor. Convincing himself that he only needed a change in the profession and not a dramatic end to his life, Raga left his job as a doctor and started his own business serving healthy food to mothers and children. Finding the will to move on from the loss of her son, Sukma became loving to her husband once again, and the couple then had another son. Angan grew up fine enough to work at a kindergarten school, and then she, too, got married. All four of the characters continued to stay in touch with each other. And through their bleak effort to commit suicide together, they found everlasting friends and a bright will to live. So that fireworks ending explained. I hope you like this video, and please subscribe this channel. See you in another video.